What's up, everybody? The Washington Wizards get a huge win in NYC, led by the solid three. Two players got the dub tonight, two players and with double doubles. We are going to talk about that and a lot more, especially news concerning Rui Hachimura on the trade front. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy, the real Ed Oliver. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards just listen every day. We are free wherever you get podcasts. So, huge win in NYC, beating the New York Knicks 116-105. So the question for me, or from me to you, is: with this showing tonight, is this sustainable to try to get over the 500 mark? Because as we stand, we're at 19-26. So with this performance tonight, with the solid three playing as well as they did, is it sustainable enough to get back to 500?
It's tough because the Wizards were really high from the three-point line, and that we don't usually shoot like that. I think the ball movement is sustainable. I like how Bradley Beal came in. He was moving the ball. He wasn't dribbling the air out of the ball. A lot of his shots came within the flow of the offense, which was really good. The mid-range shot. Kuz had a heck of a night, but he definitely hit some tough shots. There was one shot where Denny was called for a foul under the rim, and it was a deep three. It was a deep three. Porzingis was hot from the three tonight. Porzingis hit 4 threes. Kuz hit 4 threes. Monte Morris hit 3 threes. Denny hit 2 threes. So Denny was shooting the ball well. You look at the game against the Warriors, the last game where Kuz was 5 for 20 from the field. So you just see some up and down games from Kuz, some inconsistencies. Kuz has had a great year overall. But tonight was a night that he was really hot. The biggest thing that stood out to me was pushing the pace. That's something they should definitely try to sustain and keep that up because they were running and gunning to start the game off. They were hot from three. They were running, getting fast break points. Kuz getting downhill. Kuz getting to the free throw line as well. I want to look at how many free throws. Kuz only shot 3 free throws, but he definitely was getting to the basket. And Porzingis started off hot as well, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. But a big key was their defense, the defense side of the ball, containing Julius Randle. I know Jalen Brunson got off tonight. Jalen Brunson had 30 points tonight. Yeah, he had 32. But the biggest part was really containing Julius Randle and holding Julius Randle to 14 points. I thought it was an all-out effort on Julius Randle. Porzingis, with his length, how tall he is, I thought he did a great job protecting the paint, protecting the basket, making it tough for Julius Randle getting to the basket. Julius Randle was 6 for 17 and 0 for 5 from the three-point line tonight. I thought Porzingis was a big part of that. Kuz was a big part of that. Denny as well. Denny moving his feet on Julius Randle as well. I thought that it was a good collective effort. So to answer your question, is it sustainable? I think it is. Are they going to shoot that well every night? 16 for 42, 38%, coming out red hot in the first half. I haven't seen consistency from the three-point line from the Wizards. They have struggled to shoot the three. But can they run and can they defend? That's something that they're going to have to dig in and try to do for sure. But the ball movement was on point. You look at the assist numbers, 28 assists as a team. And then Monte Morris, man, he's been on a tear. There was a stat that they put up on NBC Sports Washington. He's had 10-plus points in the last 5 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. But Monte Morris, man, he really has flipped the switch, and he's really turning on, man. You see what happens when you get competent and good point guard play, how good this team can be, man, because he was going right at Jalen Brunson. He was getting to the basket, knocking down his shots, and being aggressive and finding guys for open shots. They were making the extra pass as well. So Monte Morris, man, when he's picking up and playing as well as he is, you see that this team with the solid three, when they're all playing on all cylinders, that the Wizards can be a dangerous team, man. They don't lack talent. That's one thing for sure. They do have talent on this team. They just have to be healthy, of course, and they have to show consistency on the defense side of the ball as well and pushing the pace.
I'm going to say yes, it is sustainable. I'm going to tell you why. Bradley Beal takes the pressure off of KP and Kuz in the show. This solid three, bro. Wow. I mean, to do it in NYC, to do it in Madison Square Garden, aka Mecca, to quiet the crowd the way they did. Wow. I mean, you can't say enough about the solid three. Looking at Kuz, man, 25 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, almost got a triple dub. The shots he were hitting were tough shots. I mean, he was lighting it up behind the arc, man. Same with KP. KP being back in New York, that was the team that drafted him. That was his first team, and he was getting booed. Look, he told him where to put those boos, man. I'm just trying to tell you. KP 22 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 from 16 for the field, 4 from 5 for the 3, or 4 from 9 for the 3. Sorry. He was lighting it up. Bradley Beal coming back from a hamstring. I feel like he played well, man. The defense really they focused on him a little bit till Kuz and KP started getting those touches, man, and then they didn't know what to do with us, man. This solid three, you know what? Look, man, I'm a man in the middle. He's wrong to a certain degree. This team has a lot of talent. I never said we didn't. I believe this is a very talented team, man. But the reasons why I think it's sustainable because this is the best case scenario for this team. The ball movement was fluid. The defense was impeccable. I mean, this team was solid, man. I mean, like you said, 38% from 3, 28 assists. No ISO ball. They were passing the ball. They were pushing the pace. Look, before the season started, 2 things we always said, me and you, was ball movement and pushing the pace, especially when we had the acquisition of Monte Morris. We wanted him to push the pace. And talk about Morris, man. Look, hey, he's starting to settle down into that starting role, man. I mean, 13.6 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, you cannot say anything really negative. I think the only negative thing you say about this team was the paint. You can say the Wizards, we ran the perimeter and the Knicks ran the paint. If you look at the Knicks, 66 points in the paint, second chance points continue to be an issue boxing out. But other than that, man, I have nothing else to say. I mean, this was an incredible game, man. To come in New York, with all the questions surrounding, Kuz and KP and Rui, and we're going to talk about Rui in a little bit. But the questions, the fan base split, this team responded, man. This solid three responded. And this is what I want to see. This has me hype. I want this to be sustainable, man. You know what I'm saying? Because look, I am a guy that thought that we could rebuild. But I'm a Wizards fan, have been since day one. I want to see this team win. When they win, I'm very happy. So if we can win with this core, I have no problem with it, man. Now, I do believe with this core, there's a lot of talent in this solid three. Now, I do think we are a point guard away. Even though Morris is starting to play well, I still think we are a point guard away and maybe a 3-and-D wing away. But I feel like to me, from this performance tonight, this is the foundation. I like what I saw from the solid three. When they play as a team, good God, they win like a team. So, man, look, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed, excuse me. And the biggest factor to me tonight for this win was ball movement. No hero ball, no individualism. They played as a team, and, man, hats off, man. Look, shout out to the solid three. They showed out tonight, man.
Yeah, it was a big win in a hostile environment. The Knicks are the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, man. This was a big win, and this is a team that we just lost to at home, where they dominated us in the paint. They were bullying us and they out-physicaled us in our own house. So this was a huge response by the Wizards to bounce back and dominate this from start to finish. Only thing they really need to work on is turnovers. They had, 14 turnovers, but I guess it came with the assists. They were moving the ball so much, so the turnovers came with it, and the way they were pushing the pace and moving the ball. Turnovers as well, and transition defense was better. I thought they did a better job getting back on defense. That's one thing that I want to see be sustainable as well, where it was tough for them against the Warriors, where, Steph's going to shoot pull-up threes and Jordan Poole's going to shoot pull-up threes. I didn't think they really got back well against the Warriors. Andrew Wiggins had a couple back doors and Draymond Green getting some easy baskets. So I thought they definitely made some huge adjustments on the defensive side of the ball against the Knicks for sure from that Warriors game.
Absolutely. So before we move on, I'm going to touch on the bench real quick. Now, Denny, defensively, was solid, as he always is. But, man, he's starting to hit threes. I mean, whoa. I mean, when I saw him hitting threes, I was like, man, it's going to be a good night. 12.7 rebounds. Denny was on point tonight. Kispert, underwhelming 5 points. DeLon was 2 steals, 2 blocks. I'm just saying. So, let's get on to Rui a little bit. Now, Rui was not his best night. 0 points, shot 0 for 7 from field. Now, it makes you wonder, was the trade rumors kind of affecting him? Because, the report comes out that, we're shopping him, and then this is probably the worst performance I've ever seen from Denny, man. I mean, he was off, man. So it makes you think how much were the trade rumors
for Rui?
Rui?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you said Denny, yeah.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, Rui,
I know
man,
what you mean.
Rui, man, how much did the trade rumors affect him tonight? I think a little bit. He definitely played, mentally tonight, but I'm not concerned. Rui is a scoring talent. I'm not concerned. He will bounce back. Bad performances happen, so I'm not even really looking much into it. So, I mean, the bench, Denny did well, man. Like I said, Denny did well, shot a couple threes, rebounding, the vision, the defense. But I do want more out of this bench unit, man. Kispert we got to light a fire on him, man. We got to get him back to contributing more. DeLon, wow, he is definitely the floor general for the second unit. So, I mean, this was a good overall team victory, man. I'm very, very impressed, man. Like I said, the shout out goes to the solid three, man, because they responded, man. They shut a lot of people up tonight. Now, the question is from here is sustainability. Can we keep this rolling? Is team basketball going to be the formula for this team going forward? Because the one thing I am scared of is that, yes, we with games like this and wins like this, we look good, but we often kind of fall back into bad habits. When we get into a little roll, we get back and we kind of slide into bad habits. And I don't want to see that happen. I want to see this team sustain this type of performance, because this is probably the best example of a team victory we've seen all season, especially with everybody back together, man. And the solid three back together. I mean, Kuz, man, I'm hoping those reports that he likes DC are true, man, because if this is what he brings to the table, man, I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it. KP, healthy. In my opinion, Kuzma and KP are both all-stars. Now, obviously, our record is going to have a little bit to do with, winning teams usually produce, so that may be a factor. But in my humble opinion, KP and Kuz are all-stars, because look at this performance. And Bradley Beal, again, coming back from the injury and showing out like he did is impressive. So before we move on, you got anything you want to say about the bench unit?
Oh, no, I do. I'll let you get to a break, and then I'll chime back in.
Yes, sir. So tonight's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all of the fat and calories? Then you got to try Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier, but don't want to compromise taste, then, man, I got just the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious you won't even think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bars so good, you ask? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's real. I mean, that's right. That's real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they're healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. So if you lift and you work out, 17 grams of protein is key. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors brownie, batter, and churro. You will thank me later. And seriously, y'all, I am a big fan of Built Bar. When I used to lift, that was my go-to, man. It's delicious, and it has the protein for you. So I definitely recommend. So, as far as the bench unit, what are your thoughts about the bench unit real quick before we move on to the real news?
Yeah, I love the player DeLon Wright, man. I thought he was active again, getting a couple steals, just being at the right place in the right time. He hit a couple threes tonight as well. He was active on the offensive side of the ball. So he brings defensive versatility out there. So I love what DeLon Wright did. But Denny, man, the coast-to-coast layup that he had, he was attacking the basket well. He did miss a layup, but he got it back, put it right back in. Hit 2 threes. That was huge as well. And he shot the ball with confidence. And I know he's been struggling from the 3 this year so far, but he shot the ball with confidence tonight. So I was happy with that. Like you brought up Rui, we're going to talk about the trade reports and that came out from the Athletic. Shams Charania and Josh Robbins came out with a report about Rui. Denny had 14 points, 7 boards, man, 1 assist. So he was active today. He's been a good rebounder. He had a 20 rebound game a couple games ago. DeLon Wright, 11 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, and 2 steals and 2 blocks. He had a huge block on Jalen Brunson where he looked at the camera and stared in the camera's face. Corey Kispert, 5 points. I thought Taj Gibson was active too. He was diving on the floor. Didn't score, but he did the intangibles. He did stuff that you can't put on a stat sheet. And Rui, unfortunately, he just had an off night. I just think looking at his body language, he wasn't like pouting or down or anything. I don't think that's in Rui's personality to do that. But you could just kind of look at him, just looking at him, you kind of see that something was weighing on him. Like obviously he knows. He probably knew weeks ago when the report came about Jay Crowder. But the thing is, when the report came about Jay Crowder, Rui went on a tear. He had a 30-point game, had a 25-point game. Tonight, it just looked like something was weighing on him, and I think he knows that his days in DC are numbered. I mean, the whole world knows now. So it was unfortunate to see him. He took the shots he took weren't bad shots. 0 for 6 from the three. Settling from the three, and I know he's more of a guy that gets to the basket, mid-range game, and finishing in the post. There's one time where he got blocked, and they called a jump ball as well. So just a rough night for him. We'll see if he can bounce back against we play with the Magic next. So if he's still on the team by Saturday, we'll see if he can have a bounce back game. But overall, I was impressed with the bench unit. We've been begging for the bench to step up. The long right definitely helps out with the bench for sure. And when Denny plays like that, man, I think he plays well off the bench. In the beginning of the year, he was starting, but I think he's starting to find a good role coming off the bench.
Yeah, I totally agree. Denny, he played a good game tonight. And that's Denny. I know I had my shack at the full moon earlier, but I'm very impressed by Denny, man. He played well. That 2 3-point shots. Any of you guys that follow me on Twitter, man, I was like, good God, even Denny's hitting threes, man. So, but it's good to see that. It's good to see him bounce back and have this kind of performance. And getting to Rui real quick, I'm not concerned. I know he's going to bounce back because he is a scorer, man. So he's going to bounce back. The shot just wasn't dropping, and that happens, man. But we're going to go ahead and move on. Now, as you said, per Shams Charania of The Athletic, the Washington Wizards are shopping Rui. Now, in your opinion, E, what are the likely landing spots? And what kind of need do you think we can fulfill by moving Rui?
So Troy Halliburton, who was on our show last week, he went on another podcast and he said that the two teams that he's heard are the Jazz and the Indiana Pacers. He said that they could do a swap for Chris Duarte from the Pacers. He's had a down year so far, but Chris Duarte had a heck of a rookie season. I love Chris Duarte coming out of Oregon. I thought that was the guy who I wanted to draft at 15, but he was drafted at 14 right before Corey Kispert. So I was very disappointed, but I still like Corey Kispert. But I do think Chris Duarte definitely would have fit in and brought some explosiveness and some athleticism to the team. He also said that Rui may be involved in a trade to the Jazz for Colin Sexton in a point guard. And, we definitely could use a point guard that could get into the paint and put pressure on the rim. And, Colin Sexton's a shifty, explosive guy that plays with a lot of energy. When we play the Jazz, Colin Sexton had a really good game against us. It's just, the fit next to Bradley Beal. How will he fit next to Bradley Beal? Also reading the article, too, it says that they really, really want to keep Kuzma. Josh Robinson, Shams Charania, there are multiple teams centered on a fourth-year forward, Rui Hachimura. The Athletic has learned from league sources. So we'll see what Rui's trade value is. In the Western Conference teams, they still could circle back to the Suns and still go for Jay Crowder. I wouldn't be surprised with that. I wouldn't be happy about that, but I could see that still being in play. So, we'll see what happens with Rui, but, it looks like, he has a contract. He has a contract year coming for him. And we've been talking about the whole thing. Can they keep Kuz? Can they keep Rui? Can they keep Porzingis, who's on a player option? All these guys, on these big contracts. And, Ted Leonsis doesn't want to, he doesn't want to touch the luxury tax at all for this team. And I understand it as well because, they're barely a playoff team. They're fighting to scratch to get into the play-in. So you got to make some moves to be under the luxury tax. And moving Rui is one of them. Probably moving Will Barton is one of them as well. There was a report that Will Barton has interest from teams. So I'm excited. I'm happy about that. If we can get some value, even a second-round pick back for Will Barton, that would be awesome. So we'll see what they get for Rui. It sounds like he has 2 feet out the door. It looks like Tommy Shepard's ready to move on from him. I'm hoping that Tommy Shepard already told Rui and didn't do like he did with John Wall, where he didn't tell John Wall at all. And Bradley Beal said I had to think about it if he wants to play with John Wall again. So I hope it's not that kind of scenario.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But I mean, I'm I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of a move for Colin Sexton. I like his scoring potential, but you're really going into that scoring combo guard role again. I want to really if we can package Rui with Will Barton and try to get a proven veteran floor general to run this team, I think that is a good step in the right direction for this team. I want a floor general. We talked about Mike Conley's. These guys. A veteran who can come in and run the team. I don't think we necessarily need a scorer like Colin Sexton at the starting point guard position. We need somebody who's going to distribute and really run, and obviously they're going to still run the offense through Kuzma. But no, if I'm going to move Rui and hopefully Will Barton, I'm going to try to get a floor general, a veteran guy. So yeah, I think that is going to happen, man. Now looking at Kuzma potentially staying here long term, like I said, I do believe we're a couple moves away from being a legit team that can really challenge. But I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. And it's a good game, good win. I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit on myself. I'm very happy and very optimistic. But this is definitely a good sign. And the only factor this game shows that when we play as a team, we win. When we play as a team and ball moving, man, it's just they play well together. That solid three plays well together when they play as a team, man. So looking at Rui and the potential trade, yeah, that's what I would do. Maybe a 3-and-D wing, but I think point guard needs to be the point of emphasis going into the deadline, because if we really want to make that second half charge for a playoff position, we need a veteran point guard that's going to orchestrate this team. And you can't help having another veteran voice in the locker room. Obviously we know that Bradley Beal's not the biggest leader, so we need having another veteran guy in there, I think would be a plus for this team. So yeah, it appears that Rui is on his way out of DC. And I'm a big Rui fan, and I think this is a win-win to a certain degree. I want to see him go somewhere where he can get that playing time and really develop, because I think he can still be a really good NBA player. He can score. If he can really develop a really, really good defensive repertoire, I think we're cooking with gas for Rui, man. So, I definitely think he's going to be on his way out. And I believe that, like you say all the time, man, when there's smoke, there's fire. With Will Barton, 14 million, that's a cap filler. So, easy. Go after a veteran point guard. But before we get into comments, we're going to do an ad from E.
Yep, and Troy Halliburton, he said it on the podcast with Matt Moderno. He was a guest on the show as well a couple weeks ago, so you guys can check that out too if you haven't listened to it. But before we move on to you guys' comments, I know you guys want to talk about the Rui news because it's a hot commodity. But before we get to that, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball World Cup. We've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, and then one thing from the article as well that I was reading, it was saying that if they want to keep Kuzma, then they have to move on from Rui, of course. The article says that moving Hachimura would reduce a log jam at the forward spots and place the franchise in a better position financially to focus on re-signing Kuzma and potentially re-sign Kristaps Porzingis in the offseason. As usual, ahead of the trade deadline, the Wizards are keeping their options open on several fronts, including the possibility of playing this all out in the offseason. So that's one thing I don't want to see them do, is play it out in the offseason. They got to jump ahead of this right now and make moves. And unfortunately, I would love to keep Rui. I think he's a really good scorer, very talented. Of course, the defense side of the ball leaves a lot to be desired and a lot of room for improvement. But I do think it just reminds me of Kelly Oubre. It just feels like Kelly Oubre 2.0 again, where Kelly Oubre definitely had his flaws, but you saw the talent in Kelly Oubre. And Kelly Oubre, he's had a solid career. Does he contribute to winning? You can question that for sure. But he definitely can help a team make the playoffs. And I think Rui's he's gonna go to a team like maybe the Suns, maybe the Jazz, or maybe even the Heat or something like that. I could see him be on the Heat with Pat Riley. They need power forward help, and I could see him buying in defensively with Pat Riley in that system. And I could see him blossom into a really, really good basketball player. I think he's a really good basketball player right now. But I just see, when people leave the Wizards, they usually improve and they get better. And I think that's what's going to happen with Rui Hachimura. I think he's going to be a very good player. I think he's going to average perennial in this league 13, 14, 15 points a game. I think he's a super talented guy, very athletic. I guess it's almost like a tribute video to Rui. I'll always remember the dunk on Anthony Davis. I got up on my seat after that. I remember the 30-point game against the Sixers, that playoff game where Rui contributed. He contributed to some big games and some big wins, man. Only thing with Rui, his downfall really was the amount of time that he missed. He missed time for personal reasons. He had a groin injury, he had conjunctivitis. He just missed a lot of time. You look at his game log. I want to say 53 games his rookie year, and then 40 games where he missed for personal reasons. Then he missed time with a bone bruise. So I don't think he's injury prone, but GMs are looking at that. When you miss so much time, it hurt the evaluation process as well. And I thought it gave Kyle Kuzma an opportunity to really take his spot last year when he was out for so long, because Rui was supposed to start. He was supposed to start. It was supposed to be him and Kuz starting. A lot of people talked about that, but him missing so much time that year last year, it gave Kuz an opportunity, and Kuz took advantage of it, man, and he took over. So I wish Rui the best wherever he gets traded.
Yeah, same here, man.
If he gets traded.
Yeah, if.
Which he probably will.
Right. No, I'm a big fan, man. It's sweet and sour because, I do like his game. I like Rui, but I'm with you, man. I do want more of a kind of where Kyle Kuzma's head's at as far as staying in DC, because it doesn't sit well with me kind of hinge on the hopefulness of that we're going to re-sign him. But from the tweet from his mother saying that he likes it here. We haven't heard him say from his mouth that he wants to go anywhere. He seems to like it in DC. So, I'm all about it, man. If we are, you guys know where I stand. But if we're intent on building around Bill, I think Kuz plays well with him, and I have no problem bringing KP back, man. I do like this solid three, but I do believe that the biggest move that we can make is a veteran point guard who can orchestrate the offense. I think that if you can find one at the trade deadline, then we're starting to cook, in my humble opinion. But yeah, it appears that Rui's going to be on his way out of the 202, man. So we're going to jump into comments real quick because we definitely appreciate everybody showing up, man. I know it's getting late, so we're going to do about 3 to 4 comments real fast. So let's get into it. Shook Biz 1 said, I love the ball movement, taking their center out early, no complaints here. The ball movement was fluid tonight. I mean, the ball movement was fluid. This is the biggest key to me for this victory was the ball movement, man. No ISO ball, no hero ball. Nobody's dribbling for 15 seconds. I mean, Bradley Beal was shooting, passing the ball out. So, I like what I saw from the solid. I like what I saw from the starting unit, man. The fluidity of the offense was key.
100%. Mitchell Robinson did get hurt. I think that did impact the game. I'm not saying that Mitchell Robinson would have played, that we would have lost. Jericho Sims fouled out. I thought Porzingis gave him trouble. Kuzma gave him trouble getting to the basket as well. But even when Mitchell Robinson was playing, we were still winning the game pretty handily. Like they were handling the game. The Knicks were playing. They made some silly mistakes too. There's one time where Emmanuel quickly was running and he threw the ball behind his head, trying to throw it to Julius Randle, and then DeLon Wright was right there and got the steal. So the Knicks weren't playing good ball, but we forced them to take some bad shots as well. So I was happy with the Wizards defense tonight. In the solid three, they did play well tonight. This is one of their best games collectively for sure. Samurai Jack says, LeGM Bill must have told Rui about to trade him before the game. Yeah, I mean, Rui must have said to Bill, am I going to be here after the deadline? And Bill must have said, I got to think about it. And then after that, Rui knew it was a done deal. He knew it was a done deal. So, I'm intrigued to see what they get back. I really hope they don't get fleeced in a trade. Tommy Shepard does a good job on with trades. I think all of his trades have been solid for the most part. They haven't been bad trades. But I think he's done a good job. Diego Magias says Rui Will Barton and Johnny Davis for Sadiq Bey in a second, then sign Jordan Goodwin for a year. I don't know if the Pistons do that, but Rui for Sadiq Bey, I think that's a fair swap. Sadiq Bey has had a down year this year. He had a really good rookie year. But of course, it's not going to happen because salaries got to match. Because Will Barton's making $14 million, Rui's making about $7 million. So I wouldn't trade all those guys just for Sadiq Bey. But I think Sadiq Bey would come in and help for sure. Johnny Davis's trade value is probably rock bottom right now. He's averaging 11 points in the G League and 33% from the field right now. So he's not putting up big numbers in the G League. So it's going to be a long process for Johnny. But that trade, man, if it could work out salary wise, I wouldn't mind getting Sadiq Bey in here. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Nah, I would definitely welcome Sadiq Bey, man, because he can play defense and he can shoot. So yeah, absolutely. Next one is going to be a pod named Kickback. What's going on, brother? With a full roster, we can compete with almost anyone. 1 or 2 weeks here and there, and we will be a top 6 team. I'll miss Rui per rumors, but we have to keep Kuz and KP. Looks like a real point guard now. Man, I still think we are a point guard away, man. I will say this, man. Monte Morris has played well. He really has played well, but I still think he's best served on the second unit. Now, looking at the second unit when it becomes a point guards, maybe you might see a point guard get moved because you can look at Monte Morris and say, yeah, he good guy on the bench, but then you look at DeLon Wright, you look at Jordan Goodwin. So that's another thing that, depth at the point guard position. But I still think we need a floor general who's going to distribute. But no, I mean, full roster, we have a lot of talent. Full roster, we can compete. I think the biggest thing, the name of the game for the Wizards, man, is consistency. Yeah, we got the talent, but can we consistently put these type of performance together? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a good win, especially on the road, but can we be consistent? We definitely got the talent. So, no, I agree, but we have to be consistent.
Definitely. I lost the comment. He says with a full raw. That's my guy, pod named Kickback. Make sure you guys subscribe to him on YouTube as well. Yeah, with a full raw, I think they can compete, man. They just got to be healthy. Brad's been in and out of the lineup. Now, there's been some times where we were bad with Brad as well. So I just want to see consistency from this team. They got to buy in defensively. I think with DeLon Wright coming back, he's been back for a little bit now, but he's a huge help. When they move the ball, man, that's just when they're at their best, and when they're running the floor and picking up the pace. The only thing I'm just concerned is the 3-point shooting, because they usually don't shoot threes. Like they usually don't make 14 threes in a game. That's something that is an outlier for sure. So I want to see if they can still win games when they're not shooting well from the 3-point line. And then also the turnovers, they got to cut down on the turnovers. They got to cut down on that. I'll miss Rui per rumors, but we have to keep Kuz and KP. Monte, that he's been huge too. He is a key piece and a key factor. That point guard position, when he plays like that, the Wizards definitely can hang with the better teams in the Eastern Conference. They need good point guard play. That's been our Achilles heel this year. When they get that, they look like a legitimate competitive roster in the Eastern Conference. And yes, I'll miss Rui too. I'm a big fan of his game. I like his game a lot. If Kuz wants to come back, then sure. If they're winning games and Kuz wants to come back, I don't mind keeping them. But if they're gonna lose, if they were on that when they were on that losing streak and Kuz is kind of iffy whether he wants to come back or not, then yeah, I'm definitely ready to sell and trade Kuz. So it changes every week. The trade deadline is February 9th, so it's coming very, very quickly. So Tommy Shepard and Ted, they gotta make big decisions for sure. Benz said, "Don't get hyped, Brandon. It's only one game. Let's see them play this way every game. I'm hoping they can go on a streak, but I'll wait to be excited about this one." Yeah, that's the thing too. They reel me in sometimes. They go on a 3 or 5 game winning streak, and then they go on a 10-game losing streak. So this team, they're just so iffy and inconsistent. They really are. So it's tough to. I want to get excited about the win, and looking at the schedule, it's winnable games. It's a lot of winnable games. You got the Magic at home. You got the Mavericks. They already beat the Mavericks once this year. That's going to be a tough game, obviously. Then they play at Houston. So it's some winnable games coming up. Some winnable games. But as you know, the Wizards, they'll win some games where you think they're going to lose, and then they'll lose some games where they're favored and they should win.
Look, Public Enemy once said, "Don't believe the hype." I get this one game, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm happy when they win, man. But to me, this performance said that they have the talent, and when they play as a team, they can do it. Now, what I'm looking for is, all right, next stop, 500. We know that they got talent. We know they can win, especially against a team that's in the 6th seed. So now the goal is 500. If we can get back to 500, like you said, we got Orlando. We have some winnable games, so we can climb up to 500. Maybe add a piece of the deadline. Maybe we're cooking, but I can't help it, man. I love this team. When I see them win, man, I just get hyped. So,
no, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, man. Benz is a funny guy with his comment. Shugs. We're gonna wrap it up. So, Shug says, "I'm sending Rui a case of Built Bars via Amazon." And
Oh man.
Anthony Tony says Ed and Bill return on the same night. LOL. Yeah, man, I'm back. Brandon was holding it down. Brandon gave out his grades for the year. I'm gonna definitely give out my grades for the mid-season review as well. So I'm gonna definitely get my grades out as well. But Brandon, is there any other comments you want to read? Oh yeah, also Dave Bezel, just in case you missed, Kuz donated $1 million to Flint, Michigan. I did see that. I think NBC Sports Washington. I think they showed it during halftime or sometime during the game. That's awesome by Kuzma. He's a great guy, man. He really is. He's a great guy. There's reports that I'm not even going to talk about other reports, but I think Kuz, he's just a great guy. He's a great leader. You see the way he talks to the younger guys on the team, to Denny and Rui, the way he talks to those guys as a leader. So I've been nothing but impressed with Kuzma's time here in DC. If he's traded as well, I guess this is somewhat of a tribute to him too. I've appreciated the way he's played here in DC. If he's not here by the trade deadline, after the trade deadline, I was impressed by the way Kuzma played as a Wizard.
Yeah, that impressed me too. You know, the $1 million, the Flint, Michigan man, because I've been to Flint, man. So Flint has gone through some, a lot of issues within the last couple of decades, man. So it's good to see him giving back, really giving back to the city of Flint, Michigan, man. But I like to see that because we have a long culture of guys who like to give back on the Wizards, man. John Wall did a lot for the DC community. Bradley Beal does a lot for the DC community. The one year that Russell Westbrook was here, knowing that a lot of the employees for the team weren't getting paid, took off a pair of shoes and gave it to an employee so they could sell it and get money. I mean, so we've had a long list of guys who like to give back. So no, I like to see that he's doing that. So no, man, I'm good, man. I definitely appreciate that everybody staying up late, chatting it up with us, man. So no, I'm good, man.
Definitely, yeah. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in. A lot of reports and rumors coming up before the trade deadline with Rui and Kuz and Porzingis and Will Barton. So just a lot to talk about. So the Wizards don't play again until Saturday against the Magic. We just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. Now make your second listen game to game for the NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result, Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Good dub to win. Good dub tonight. Was the dub over the Knicks. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.